Walk into your kitchen right now. Don't just think about it. Actually go there. Open the refrigerator door. Feel that cold, artificial air hit your face, and pull out that package of sliced cheese you likely have sitting in the deli drawer. You know the one I'm talking about. It's iconic. Each slice is individually wrapped in its own crinkly, non-recyclable plastic film sitting there perfectly square, unnaturally shiny, and colored a shade of neon orange that simply does not exist in nature. Unwrap one slice. Hold it in your hand. Really feel the texture of it. It doesn't feel like food, does it? It feels rubbery, almost synthetic, like a soft polymer. If you bend it, it doesn't break or crumble the way a real aged cheddar would. It folds. It has memory. It bends like a piece of vinyl flooring. If you leave it on the counter for a week, or even a month, something terrifying happens. Nothing. It won't mold. It won't decompose. It will just sweat a little oil, darken slightly, and sit there, defying the fundamental laws of biology. It is mummified. Now, try the ultimate test, the one that really exposes the lie. Take a lighter to it. A real piece of cheese, made from milk and rennet, would melt into a bubbling puddle of fat and protein. It turns black. It chars. It doesn't melt. It burns. It smells like burning chemicals, like melting plastic. This is what modern society, in its infinite wisdom, has accepted as cheese. But if you look closely at the label, and the industry hopes you don't, the manufacturers are legally forbidden from calling it simply cheese. The label says pasteurized processed cheese product or cheese food. It is an industrial simulacrum, a dead, sterile slab of denatured proteins, emulsifiers, and petroleum-based food dyes designed for shelf life, transportability, and profit margins. Not for human life. Now, let's purge that image from our minds and transport ourselves back in time, away from the fluorescent lights of the supermarket, to a medieval monastery high in the Swiss Alps, or a peasant's cool stone cellar in 14th century France. The cheese sitting on the wooden board there is a living entity. It is a massive wheel, weighing 40 or 50 pounds, covered in a complex blooming rind of natural molds, wild yeasts, and dust from the cave. It smells intense, earthy, pungent, perhaps a little like the barn it came from, with notes of wet straw and ammonia. It is alive. If you were to cut into it, you would see the texture change from the firm, crystallized edge, where it meets the air, to the creamy, soft center, where the fermentation is still active. It breathes. This medieval cheese wasn't just a condiment or a flavor enhancer for a burger. It was a primary source of nutrition, a critical survival food. It was a technological miracle, a way to capture the fleeting energy of summer sunlight and green grass, condense it and preserve it through the long, dark, starving months of winter when the cows went dry. And most importantly, it was a pasteurized probiotic bomb. Every single gram of that cheese was teeming with millions, billions of beneficial bacteria that colonized the gut, strengthened the immune system against the plague and pox, and literally digested the food for the person eating it. We have been told a massive, pervasive lie for the last 100 years, a lie that has shaped our entire diet, our health, and our relationship with nature. We were told that raw milk is dangerous. We were told that bacteria are the enemy. We were told that the only safe dairy is sterile dairy. We were taught to fear the very thing that kept humanity alive for 10,000 years. We traded the wild, complex, self-regulating ecosystem of traditional cheese for the sterile, predictable, dead safety of the factory. And what is the result of this trade? Look around you. We have a population that is largely lactose intolerant, unable to digest the very food that built Western civilization. We have millions suffering from osteoporosis and calcium deficiency despite consuming massive amounts of dairy products. We are suffering from gut dysbiosis, allergies, eczema, and autoimmune conditions at rates never seen before in history. In this video, we are going to expose the great heat, the industrial process of pasteurization, and how it turned one of nature's most perfect healing foods into dead plastic. We will dive deep into the microscopic world of enzymes and bacteria that modern processing destroys, and we will reveal why the cheese your ancestors ate was actually superior to the expensive probiotic supplements you take today. The story of modern dairy is fundamentally a story of fear and industrial convenience. In the mid-19th century, As the Industrial Revolution packed people into crowded, dirty cities, the milk supply became a horror show. Cows were kept in filthy urban distilleries, never seeing the sun, fed swill and rotting grain mash. They were sick, and their milk was sick. It spread tuberculosis and typhoid. It was blue and thin, so unscrupulous sellers added chalk, plaster, and even formaldehyde to make it look white and stay fresh. It was killing children. But rather than fixing the dirty conditions of the cows, rather than returning to the clean, pasture-based farming of the medieval era, the industry and governments decided to take a different approach. A technological band-aid. They decided to nuke the milk. They introduced pasteurization, the process of heating milk to high temperatures to kill pathogens. At the time, it seemed like a miracle. It stopped the immediate spread of disease from filthy urban milk. But in their war against bad bacteria, they committed biological scorched earth warfare. They didn't just kill the typhoid. They killed everything. Raw milk is not just white water. It is a complex, functional biological fluid. It is living tissue, as complex as blood. It contains active enzymes, immunoglobulins, white blood cells, transport proteins, and beneficial bacteria. It is designed by nature to nourish, protect, and signal a growing mammal. When you heat it to 161 degrees Fahrenheit, 72 degrees Celsius, or higher, and ultra-pasteurized milk goes much higher, you denature these proteins. You change their 3D structure. You unfold them. The milk becomes cooked. The most tragic casualty of this war was the asterisk enzymes. Raw milk is packed with over 60 active enzymes like lactase, lipase, and phosphatase. These aren't accidental. They are there to help the calf, or the human, digestive milk. They are the built-in digestive kit. Let's talk about asterisk phosphatase ester. This enzyme is absolutely critical for your body to absorb calcium. It is the chemical key that unlocks the mineral and allows it to be incorporated into your bones. Without phosphatase, calcium is largely just a rock. It's hard for your body to use. Do you know how the government tests if milk is safe to sell today? They use the phosphatase test. They test the milk to see if this enzyme is dead. If they find active phosphatase in the milk, it fails the test. It is deemed unsafe and illegal to sell. Think about the absolute insanity of that for a second. The official legal definition of safe milk is milk where the very enzyme needed to digest and utilize its nutrients has been successfully destroyed. They destroy the key, then sell you the locked box, and tell you it's for your own good. Then there is asterisk lactase. Millions of people today believe they are lactose intolerant. They drink a glass of milk and get bloated, gassy, and sick. They think their bodies are broken, that they are genetically inferior. But the medieval peasant didn't need lactose-free milk from a carton. He didn't have special pills. Why? Because raw milk comes with its own lactase enzyme. It comes with the antidote to its own sugar. When you drink raw milk or eat raw milk cheese, the enzyme works in your gut to break down the milk sugar lactose for you. The food literally digests itself. When you pasteurize milk, you cook the lactase enzyme until it falls apart. You destroy the digestant. You are asking your body to do a job it wasn't designed to do alone. You aren't intolerant to milk. You are intolerant to dead, processed, enzyme-deficient industrial sludge. And it goes beyond enzymes. The very proteins in the milk change. The whey proteins, which are fragile and boost your immune system by boosting glutathione production, are denatured by heat. They unfold and become useless debris that can trigger allergies. The fats are often homogenized, blasted through tiny nozzles at 2,500 psi, until the fat globules are shattered into microscopic particles that never rise to the top. These tiny unnatural fat particles can bypass digestion and enter the bloodstream directly, potentially causing inflammation. The medieval peasant drank milk, where the cream rose to the top. We drink a uniform white liquid that has been beaten into submission. We are constantly inundated with marketing messages telling us to drink milk for strong bones. We grew up seeing celebrities with milk mustaches promising us skeletal strength. Schools force cartons of milk on children every day. The dairy lobby spends billions telling us that dairy is the only way to get calcium. Yet, if you look at the epidemiological data, a terrifying paradox emerges. Countries with the highest consumption of pasteurized dairy products, like the US, UK, and Scandinavia, often have the highest rates of osteoporosis and hip fractures. How is this possible? If modern milk is so full of calcium, why are our bones crumbling? The answer lies in the basic chemistry of heat and minerals. Calcium in raw milk exists in a soluble bioavailable form. It is bound to proteins, casein, and exists in colloidal suspension. It is organic calcium, ready for your body to grab and use. However, when you subject milk to the high heat of pasteurization, and especially ultra-high temperature, UHT processing, which is becoming the standard for shelf-stable milk, a chemical reaction occurs. The heat causes the soluble calcium to precipitate out of the solution. It turns into insoluble *tricalcium phosphate salts. Essentially, the calcium turns into chalk. It becomes a rock. Your body cannot absorb this dead, inorganic calcium effectively. It passes right through your digestive tract, or worse, because it is not being properly directed by enzymes. Remember, the phosphatase is dead. It gets deposited in soft tissues where it doesn't belong. It contributes to kidney stones, calcification of arteries, atherosclerosis, and arthritis. You are drinking liquid chalk and wondering why your bones are brittle. Scientific studies on rats have shown that those fed heat-treated milk had significantly lower calcium retention in their bones compared to those fed less processed milk. Furthermore, the heat treatment triggers the Maillard reaction, where lactose reacts with proteins. This creates compounds like furacine, which block nutrient absorption and can be toxic. By boiling the life out of the milk, we render the minerals useless. The medieval peasant, eating a wedge of raw, aged cheese, was getting a massive dose of absorbable calcium, phosphate, and magnesium, all in the perfect ratio. Crucially, this was accompanied by the enzymes and fat-soluble vitamins, like vitamin K2 from the butterfat, needed to deposit that calcium into the bone bank. The modern consumer eating a slice of processed American cheese or drinking skim milk is getting a dose of dead minerals that their body struggles to recognize as food. We are starving in the midst of plenty, consuming high-calorie, nutrient-void dairy that clogs our systems rather than building them. But the greatest loss, the one that impacts our health in ways we are only just beginning to understand, is the invisible one. Medieval cheese was a probiotic bomb. When cheese is made from raw milk and aged in a cave or cellar, it becomes a host to a complex, thriving ecosystem of bacteria. These aren't just the starter cultures you buy in a freeze-dried packet today. These are wild indigenous bacteria, known to scientists as known starter lactic acid bacteria, NSLAB bacteria, melting cheeves for milking, and from the teats of the animal, from the wooden buckets used for milking, and from the air of the aging cave. It is a specific terroir of microbiology. These bacteria don't just sit there. They work. They continue to work even after the cheese is made. They engage in complex biochemical processes called proteolysis, breaking down proteins, and lipolysis, breaking down fats. This breakdown creates powerful bioactive peptides, tiny protein fragments that act like medicine. Some of these peptides act as natural ACE inhibitors, blood pressure medication. They help lower hypertension naturally. Others modulate the immune system, teaching it what to attack and what to ignore. When a medieval person ate a piece of aged cheese, they were inoculating their gut with thousands of diverse bacterial strains. They were reseeding their microbiome with every bite. Modern research has even tracked specific strains like Bifidobacterium mongolians, which has been shown to travel vertically from the animal to the milk to the cheese, and finally to colonize the human gut. It is a continuous chain of life connecting the soil, the cow, and the human soul, a biological heritage passed down through food. Pasteurization breaks this chain. It creates a biological vacuum. It kills the good bacteria along with the bad. And in biology, nature abhors a vacuum. When you kill all the good protective bacteria, you leave the field open for bad, pathogenic bacteria like Listeria or E. coli to take over if contamination happens later. That's why modern cheese has to be so heavily salted, preserved, and wrapped in airtight plastic. It has no natural immune system left. It is defenseless. Medieval cheese fought off pathogens with its own healthy microbiome. The good bacteria produced bacteriocins, natural antibiotics, and acids that killed off invaders. A wheel of cheddar or parmesan from the 15th century could sit at room temperature for months and be perfectly safe. A block of modern cheese food has to be refrigerated and eaten quickly once opened, or it spoils, not with good mold, but with rot. We traded a robust, self-protecting ecosystem for a fragile, sterile product that depends on the cold chain and plastic wrap to survive. Now, let's talk about the texture. Why does that slice of processed cheese melt so perfectly? Why doesn't it separate into oil and protein like real cheese? Because it's not just cheese. It's chemistry. To make processed cheese, the industry takes scraps of old, often inferior cheese, grinds them up and mixes them with chemical emulsifying salts. The most common one is sodium citrate. What does sodium citrate do? It chemically uncoils the proteins in the cheese, turning them into a gel that holds water and fat together indefinitely. It's the same chemical used in blood collection tubes to prevent blood from clotting. In cheese, it prevents the separation of fat. It turns the complex structure of cheese into a homogeneous sludge. They also add sodium phosphate, an additive linked to kidney damage and accelerated aging when consumed in excess. They add texturizers, gums, and dyes to make it look appealing. When you eat this, you aren't eating a fermented food. You are eating a chemical suspension. Your body doesn't know how to process these emulsifying salts. They alter the pH of your gut, potentially harming your microbiome further. Real cheese melts unevenly because it is natural. Processed cheese melts perfectly because it is engineered to be plastic. So what do you see when you look at that orange slice now? Do you see food, or do you see an industrial product designed for shelf stability, transportability, and profit margin? Do you see nourishment, or do you see dead plastic? The medieval way was not about fearing bacteria. It was about partnering with them. They understood intuitively that fermentation was the key to unlocking nutrition and preservation. They knew that milk was a perishable gift that had to be transformed by life, bacteria, to become eternal cheese. The solution is simple, but it is an act of rebellion in the modern world. Stop eating plastic cheese. Coated in cellulose wood pulp and antifungals like natamycin to keep it from clumping. Stop buying the singles that can sit in a hot car for a week without changing shape. Stop feeding your children cheese sticks that are essentially rubber. You need to become a hunter. Look for raw milk cheese. Look for the words unpasteurized or late cru. In many places, including the US, cheese aged over 60 days is legally allowed to be made from raw milk because the natural acids and good bacteria kill any pathogens during the aging process. This is the loophole to health. This is your gateway back to the old world. Go to the fancy section of the grocery store. Or better yet, find a local cheesemonger or a farm. Buy real Parmigiano Reggiano, the king of cheeses, which is legally required to be made from raw milk. Buy real Roquefort, Gruyere. Buy aged Gruyere or Comté. These are still made the old way. They are still living foods. Yes, they cost more than the plastic slices. You might pay $20 a pound instead of $5, but you don't eat them the same way. You don't mindlessly melt them over chips. You eat a small wedge. You savor it. You taste the terroir, the flavor of the specific field the cow grazed on. And in that small wedge, you are getting a probiotic supplement, a bioavailable calcium source that actually strengthens your bones, and a protein source that is pre-digested and easy on your gut. You are buying the wisdom of 1,000 years. You are buying a connection to the land and the animal. Don't settle for the dead imitation. Eat the living thing. Your gut, your bones, and your ancestors will thank you. In the next video, we are going to expose another white powder sitting in your kitchen. Salt. Why was medieval salt a mineral-rich electrolyte supplement, while modern table salt is essentially bleached industrial chemical waste? You won't believe what they add to it just to make it pour. Stay tuned, stay healthy, and keep it real.